Hi everybody, Tony with Shinsho Yoga, and today I would like to talk to you about a pose called Matsyendrāsana, or Lord of the Fishes. Lord of the Fishes, believe it or not, is probably the most common pose I have to explain in my regular flows that I do, my vinyasa classes. It appears that it isn't as common in other classes as it is in mine. My teacher always did Lord of the Fishes in a wind down, and I always do Lord of the Fishes in a wind down because it's just a phenomenal pose to do. So being that it's one of the most commonly asked for, and they're not overly complicated, but it has its own challenges like any posture does, something that I wanted to discuss today. Lord of the Fishes is a posture that is meant to really open up the shoulders and the neck and the front of the chest. That's what it's really designed for. So it really gets the whole entire front of the body, right? But really, if done properly, is going to help you open the chest, open the shoulders, open the neck, and even getting into the back of the shoulders here because of the posture and the way you're forcing, well, force isn't the right term, the way you're spreading the shoulder blades open can really help open up the neck and shoulders. I always put it during a wind down at the end of my vinyasa. It's not something that you would do in the beginning of a heat building practice. It is more of a cooling pose. So discussing heating and cooling, this is a energetic term in that in a vinyasa it's generally a heat building practice, but we start lightly and we build and then we cool down in the end. You have to bring the body through those stages. You don't want to just spike it or skip them. So we build, come here, maintain, and then come back down. And Lord of the Fishes is one of those poses that is good for that, along with some of the ones that I like to include in my wind down. Sarvangasana, shoulder stand, Setubandha Sarvangasana, bridge, or Urdhva Dhanurasana, upward facing bow. All very good wind down poses, all having their own challenges but fit well together. A Lord of the Fishes is as it sounds when you do the pose properly. You kind of look like a fish, at least you have a fish face going. And again, it's very good in the wind down, very cooling, but yet people seem to have a little bit of an issue with it. So I want to offer you a little bit for that today. So let's get right into it. And we're going to come into Lord of the Fishes. So the first thing we have to do is you are going to bring your feet together on your mat here, legs are long, right? You're going to lay back onto the mat, have the legs close together, toes are pointed, right? So you don't want the legs flopped out this way, you don't want them wide, you want them close together, the toes are pointed. You're going to bring the hands underneath the body, right? So that the glutes are resting on the backs of the hands. Now what I do here is I create a bit of a diamond shape with my hands, and I let my sacrum rest in between there. It's not exact, right? But one glute, one butt cheek on one hand, one butt cheek on the other, sacrum in the center, right? It doesn't have to exactly touch, but like this and flat. So we bring that underneath the body. And a little note that if you have a top like I do that is kind of loose, you want to pull that up a little bit here so you're not resting on that, or as when you come up into the posture, it's going to prevent you from really pulling up into it. So our legs are long, close together, toes are pointed. They don't have to be zippered together, but again, you don't want them just flopped out. Hands are underneath the body so that the glutes are resting on the backs of the hands. And again, I have it so that my right hand is under my right glute, my left hand is under my left glute, and that the sacrum is pretty much coming in between there. From here, with your exhale, you're going to prop yourself up onto your elbows, and you're going to wiggle them underneath the body, right, as best as you can, right? If you can't and they're a little bit out to the side, that's understandable, but we want to try to bring them underneath the body, because this is what really changes the geometry of the shoulder and presses it forward. Because if I'm here, the shoulders are lax, and I'm not really drawing the sternum apart. And we really want to draw that sternum wide on this. So by bringing those elbows underneath the body, right, keeping those toes pointed, the chest is puffed out, and from here, you're going to lower your head back. And the one little thing that I add to this is you take your lower lip and stretch it above your upper. This stretches the front of the neck, and your eyes are closed, and you breathe. Matsyendrāsana, Lord of the Fishes. And you just let your head drop back. Let the pose do the work. And then to come out of the pose, you bring the chin into the chest, work the elbows out from underneath the body. And then from here, depending on what your teacher has you do, I generally end with Lord of the Fishes, so you'll come into Savasana from there. Now, if you noticed, as I was in the posture, my head dropped back little by little by little. So as I was sitting there in the posture, and sitting there laying there in the posture, my head would slowly drop back as my sternum began to open. That is one of the advantages of this posture. Its shape and structure will help to open all of this up, right? Just by bringing those elbows underneath the body and spreading the collarbone. And then you let the posture open you up. The lip, lower lip above the upper, works this. This is something in many of us that doesn't get worked. I have a tendency to have a double chin, right? One of the reasons why I have a beard, because it gives me a jawline, right? But you need to tension this up if you have that problem. If you have a waddle here per se, or this is loose, you need to stretch this and work this. Doing this does that. A simple exercise for that. It's an exercise you can do to work the muscles here. But in fish, just by drawing that lower lip above the upper and letting that drop back, will stretch the front of that. So, just a short video today on fish, because again, I often get a lot of questions on that one. You want your legs close together, the toes pointed, right? Hands are underneath the body, kind of a diamond slot, for I would say, for it under each glute. If you have a shirt like this, like I do, make sure you pull that up a little, otherwise you get caught on it as you lift. And as you come up, bringing those elbows underneath the body, because if you see here, see how my shoulders are, now when I bring them in, it opens it, and that presses the chest out, spreads the sternum, opens this all up, and then let the head go back, take the lower lip above the upper, and that'll stretch the front of the neck. Your head does not have to touch. This is often a question I get asked. They say, Tony, does the top of my head have to touch? No, it depends on each person's body. I have quite long arms, and I'm a pretty big guy. So for my head to get all the way back there, I would have to have a much higher level of flexibility than I currently do. That's not really inherent in my body. If you're littler, right, it can be a lot easier. There's less to work with, but my arms are very long. So when I get that under my body, it provides quite a bit of height. Now, my advantage in that is that height really helps me to open and spread the collarbone here, open up the sternum, which is a very nice feeling when you feel that begin to spread. So your head, top of your crown of your head doesn't have to touch. Just let it drop back and let everything open up. And as always, breathe and follow the breath. So just a little quick one today on Lord of the Fishes. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. Namaste.